Hi, everybody. I just want to get started on week 3 and make this as quick as possible so that we can get everybody on a perfect A ending to this class. Let's start before we get into the answers to the questions with a little bit of housekeeping. And by that, I just mean some things that you should know in advance. Pay attention to word count requirements, and that is not just on this worksheet. That means for anything that you do, like the DQs and things like that. The reason we give you word count requirements is so that you know roughly what's expected of you. If you're well under the word count, you're probably missing something that we're expecting to see, so you might want to go back and double check the question and see if you're reading the whole thing. And if you're well over, then you've probably either given more detail than you need or you have information that isn't even related to the question. So you should go back to the question and see what you should pull out of it. But try to stay within there. If you're a little under, a little over, that's fine. I've only had one instructor who was really particular about it being exactly within the margins. But, for the most part, as long as it's within that reasonable realm, you're good. Now, one way that you can tell how many words you have roughly is there are around 20 words per line as you're typing. So if you count by 20 how many lines you have, that will tell you roughly how many you have. Now, of course, that's going to depend on which font you're using, which or what size the font is, and things like that. So you can always change that. But usually the font that you set into and put your cursor in, that usually comes out to Times New Roman or Arial, and it's usually pretty close. I think it's like anywhere from a 10 to a 14 will be pretty close to that 20 word roughly outline. When you do upload your worksheets, don't post a link because we can't open those. Sometimes we can. That's I suppose not quite true, but we often can't. Sometimes we get to the link and it says that we can't open it because we don't have permission or something. And the best way for you to avoid getting late penalties for that, which you will not get them in this class, I try to make this as user-friendly as possible so that you all have a safe place to make these mistakes. But don't use a link. There are instructions for uploading your actual document. If you look on the place where the worksheet requirement is and where you download that worksheet and things, it will tell you how to do it. If you can't find it, or you can't open it, or you can't figure out what they're talking about, contact tech support. Anytime you have an issue with something technical, contact tech support. Always double check your submissions. Some people don't quite finish going through the process and they save it as a draft, or they uploaded the wrong document, or they uploaded a blank document before it got completed. And so, just double check and make sure you can see it. Once it's been uploaded, you can see it right there. All you have to do is take a double check. And if everything looks good, you're good to go. Get in the habit of always doing that. Of course, in this class, if you upload the wrong document or you upload a blank one, which of course still happens a lot, don't stress about that in this class. I give you as much leeway as I can. If you do upload the wrong thing or save as a draft and you get a 0, don't panic. Zeros are placeholders, and I will change that as soon as I get your actual document in. So, kind of take it take it seriously and learn from it, because going forward, you're probably going to get late penalties. It's possible you won't, but a lot of instructors just kind of, it's not really fair if I don't have the same expectations for everybody. So you didn't make it on that date, so here it goes. In this class, you've got a safety net, so make those mistakes here. All right. This is just the instructions for the first one, and since I'm trying to keep this simple, I am going to let you read that on your own. But what you need to know is that you're going to be given scenarios. Use the scenarios you're given. You can say, well, I wouldn't do that, but This is the scenario you're given, so this is it. Use this. All right, so in 50 to 75 words, so that means 3 to 4 lines roughly. How would you approach solving this? Your class requires you to use a program you must download. You have trouble with it. You waited until Saturday. Now you're having issues. And so you need to say how you would approach the problem, who you'll contact, what resources are available to you, and why it's important to be able to have effective communication with that. Okay. How would you approach the problem? My suggestion, and it is the only right answer, while there are lots of answers, there's only one right answer. You'll call tech support. If you come to your instructor first, all you're doing is wasting time because your instructor's probably not going to be on right when you are. So you'll have to wait for a response, and the only thing your instructor is going to do is tell you to contact tech support. If you go to your peers, it's the same thing. You're already at the last minute. You don't have time to wait. Your brother-in-law probably is very good with computers, but he's probably also not trained in this specific software. You don't have time to wait for anybody else. Contact our tech support. Now, the reason I'm stressing our tech support is not because I think they're better than everybody else. It's because if you contact the software tech support, they're going to see you as an end user, and they're going to put you at the back of the line, and they will contact you when they get there. If you need to talk to somebody from that software department, our tech support can get right through them because they are tech support, and they will have a way to get through them immediately. Well, maybe if not immediately, much sooner than you will be able to. So contact our tech support. That is the only right answer. Anything else is wrong. So as far as resources, what resources will you use? Are you going to go to tech support and use that as a resource? But you don't have to. Maybe you'll go to maybe you'll go to Google and look up on YouTube how to fix this software. I mean, the resources that you use are up to you. It isn't what you say that's important. It's how you support it. So as you will hear me say 1,000 times in this class, that's what you need to do is support the answers, unless I've told you in here that there is one right answer, because there are a few of them that have one right answer. Like calling tech support first thing and probably only thing. And again, back to that question, if you're going to turn your computer off and on, uninstall and reinstall the program, those things are okay. It's okay to try a few things, but don't spend all day trying a few things when tech support can help you right away. And even if they can't help you right away, they can give you a ticket number that you can use to go to your instructor and say, I am trying to get this fixed. This is my ticket number. They're working on it. And then your instructor can call and say, hey, how's that issue coming? And is that a class-wide thing? Is it a school-wide thing? Is it just this student that's having an issue? So get that ticket number, and it's just another reason to go to our tech support. But the reason I am saying that is you need to have good communication so that you can tell tech support what you've already tried. That way you're not trying to do the same things over and over and over. Make sure that you are communicating properly with your instructor. I often get people who will come to me with a question and not tell me what the question is and start talking about why they're upset about it. And it's frustrating to an extent, although I understand that it's coming from communication skills that need built up. But I think of all the other ways that people are using or misusing communication, and that's what we're trying to avoid. So work on that. In 10 minutes, so I'm running low on time here. Okay. All right. When writing academically and professionally is the next question. So this is about your writing. And again, 75 to 100 words for each of these questions. So what I recommend doing is potentially putting your cursor right in after the question. Hit the enter key, and then the tab key. And that, oops, and I've got a period in there that's making this bad. Okay, and the tab key, and then write your answer right into the worksheet. Because if you don't answer underneath each question, your potential is that you will miss something and not answer all of the questions. Don't let that happen, because that's wrong. If you answer incorrectly, I will give you 50% of the grade just for having an answer, even though it's wrong. If you have nothing, I can't give you anything. So be sure that you're doing that. Now, with this question, the biggest mistake people make is they see it as a time management question, and to some extent it is, but it's a time management question with regard to the steps of the writing process. So if you're not talking about how you will handle that writing process, it's not right. So no matter how great your strategies are for time management, that's not what the question's asking. So be sure to talk about brainstorming, and don't just say and then. So I'll brainstorm, and then I'll draft, and then I'll edit, and then I'll don't do that, because that's not a plan. That's just listing the steps with an and then between them. Instead, how long will it take you to brainstorm? Is this something you're going to spend a half hour on, and then you'll start drafting that same evening because drafting will take you longer? Or will drafting be pretty easy because you are very good at writing and researching and all of that, but editing takes you a long time? Describe your plan for each of these steps. Some people, and it's just a plan, nobody's holding you to anything, so don't worry about, well, if it's not realistic and I don't know how long I'm going to have from the time I know to the time it's due. Just go in with the assumption that you've thought about it, and that's what matters, because you can always tweak this plan. But if you don't start with a plan, you got nothing to tweak. So go in with something, just write something. And then the final question, the one that I wrote answer underneath of, that is, what will you do to improve your writing in the workplace? There are some examples here that you are welcome to use, but I encourage you to think beyond them and how you will use your workplace either now or your future workplace and gear it toward your own situation. Okay, and now the third one is, again, 50 to 75 words for each response. Again, put your cursor at the end of the first question, enter and tab at least once, and then start your answer so that you don't forget any. Plus, it separates the question from the answer, because some people just start writing right after the question is done, and things get lost in there. Or they'll write at the bottom of all 4 questions, they'll just kind of like put stuff in there, and it's very difficult to find your answers. And if I can't find the answer, I can't mark it right. You are more than welcome to approach me at the end and say, I answered this is where I wrote it, this is what I said, and I will go back and double check. It has happened that people have said that, and I saw it, but I didn't recognize it as being an answer to a later question. So I often, if I still don't see it, I'll share the grade. If I can see that I clearly simply missed it, I will give you the grade. And if I still believe I was correct in my determination, I will explain better why I think that I'm going to leave it as well as it is. But I do make mistakes, so please approach me and let me know, or I won't know. But I will always take a look if you ask. Okay, so the first question is 2 examples of violations. Right up top, there are answers right up there. They're inside the plagiarism tutorial, the Student Code of Academic Integrity, and the plagiarism part of the APA style manual. So they're right there listed. And the resources are also listed right up there. They're where you're going to get that from. So why is integrity important in your professional life? And I want somewhere in this the third or fourth questions, I want somewhere for you to write something about competence and something about honesty. The third question is where it should come, and the fourth question is where it should be explained. But there are oodles of correct answers. But out of all of our discussions for the week, those are the things that I hope you leave this week with. Okay, so 2 examples of violations. We talked about that. We talked about the examples being listed in the previous slide. Competence and honesty are the most important things I want you to take away from this week. And how will you demonstrate that? And then I think my time is getting out there. We have the grade book right here. I don't know if you can see my cursor, but over on the right side of the page, underneath the feedback, there is a purple box with lines through it, like a piece of paper kind of. And that is going to be your feedback. Now, what you see in those purple boxes is going to be general feedback, except where DQs are concerned, because that's the only place I don't have a rubric. But when I have a rubric, I'm going to click on the actual assignment. So that would be the week 3 summative assessment that you can see toward the bottom. And once I've clicked on it, this is what you'll see. And you want to go to the rubric that's in the center of the screen here, and I have circled that in pink. And if you look off on the right side, I have circled in blue more of those purple papers with squiggles in them. That's where you want to click to see your specific feedback, because that's where I'm going to write the things that you did well so that you'll keep doing them. I'm going to tell you what you did wrong if you missed points. And sometimes, even if you get full points, I'm going to point out something that you could do better in the future. So be sure to read your feedback. Now, I think I'm running out of time, so I am going to leave it here. And I know I'm not live, but I hope that if you have questions, you will come to me. Feel free to download and watch this as many times as you want, because it really will help. Maybe if you don't quite understand something before you start, and you'll have a question later when you've got some other things situated in your brain, and it'll make more sense later. So come to me with questions, and I am going to say goodbye, and I hope this helps.